You're listening to Side by Side with Kathy Wilson, Episode 20, Celebrating Our Bond. This morning, I reviewed my to-do list. My suitcase was packed. Hickory's food was measured out in individual baggies. Each bag held enough kibble for one meal. I was taking enough meals to keep Hickory fed for 4 days, although we would be away for only 2. I wanted to be on the safe side. My costume was hanging beside my suitcase with its sequins and satin advertising the special place it held for this weekend away from home. Hickory's bowls were ready to go, scoured and gleaming in the morning sunshine. Have you remembered everything you need? Do you have enough money? Ralph was doing his mother hen routine and succeeding in giving me extra anxiety. Who's picking you up? Does this hotel accept dogs? I fully understood that Ralph was going through a list of his own worries. Patience was needed here. There won't be a problem with Hickory. I have all of her papers, and the hotel is expecting her. I have enough money, and I left you the name and number of the hotel where we are staying. I probably forgot at least one of Ralph's questions, but he didn't seem to notice. It was always the same routine when I went somewhere. On looking through the window for Andrea, Hickory ran down to the front door. She had noticed the car pulling into our driveway. Andrea was here, and our weekend in Rochester, New York was about to begin. I picked up my baggage and went out to the car. Ralph followed me, waving Hickory's leash and harness. "Don't forget these." I thanked him, then gave him a hug and got into the car. Hickory settled at my feet. We were ready to go. Andrea went on to Shirley's home and then to get Joyce. The excitement was building, and Rochester was our destination. This was the weekend for our regional competition, and if we scored enough points in Rochester, we would be able to compete at the international competition in November. Have you got all of Hickory's papers for customs? Joyce was concerned about crossing the border with my dog. She knew that this was the first time I had ever taken Hickory to the States, because I was a stay-at-home person who preferred to spend my money in local stores. I assured her that I had everything that I would need. "Joyce, don't worry. If the customs give us a problem, then we will just leave Kathy and Hickory there." Shirley and I laughed, and Joyce agreed that this was okay. Hickory didn't see any humor in Andrea's solution, but I stroked her gently and told her that all was good. Sometimes people don't realize just how much a dog comprehends, and I didn't want Hickory to be anxious. "Shall we stop for lunch before we reach Rochester, or have it after we get there?" Joyce likes to know all the plans well in advance. Shirley suggested that we play it by ear and see how hungry we felt as we went along. That sounded reasonable to me. It wasn't long before Andrea was pulling up to the customs window. I had all of Hickory's health papers in hand, as well as the card that proved my dog was fully trained to lead the blind. Despite the kidding, or perhaps because of it, I did feel nervous about going through customs, but I certainly had no intentions of letting it show. We all answered the familiar queries about where we were going and how long we intended to stay. Although he could easily see Hickory looking at him and wagging her tail, he completely ignored her. He then told us to have a good day, and Joyce asked him if he wanted to see the papers for the dog. No, I saw the harness. These dogs are always good. I don't need to see proof. Andrea eased out and hit the highway. It felt strange to be leaving Canada behind. The home-loving part of me almost wished that the customs officer would have detained us. Hickory pressed her nose against my hand. It's good. All's well. Hick was sensing my fears. I put my foolish, homesick thoughts into my worry bag and forgot all about them. Hickory pressed straight through to Rochester. Shirley suggested that we get our room and sign up for the convention before we had lunch. Let's take care of business first, and then we can relax over coffee. Andrea was as loyal a caffeine supporter as I, and Shirley drank it by the potful. Coffee is fine, but I need something more substantial. Joyce had gourmet tastes. Not for her a burger at McDonald's. How about caviar and chips? I could dish out the teasing comments as well as take them. Shirley agreed that this would be a compromise solution, but Andrea wasn't having any of it. She didn't like fish eggs. At the hotel, it was more standing in line. I didn't mind, because we meted and greeted many friends from other choruses. Some we only saw at conventions, so there was a lot of lives to catch up on. Hickory's happiness was filled to overflowing. So many new friends, and she wanted to meet them all. Up in our room, we set down our luggage and considered our lunch possibilities. Joyce and Shirley were looking over the brochures provided by the hotel, while Andrea and I waited on their decision. If we put in our oars, we would be lucky to get dinner, let alone lunch. Shirley waved an advertisement and announced, I think we should go here. It doesn't look expensive, and it is nearby. Andrea has driven enough, so let's go to this one for now, and we can explore a different choice for dinner. At 5, all 5 of us left the room while I paid close attention as we made our way to the elevator. Learning new surroundings was far less stressful with Hickory's help. Shirley was right. We located the restaurant with no difficulty. In fact, Andrea said she could see it from the hotel. She was pleased with that. The eatery wasn't full, but it was 2 in the afternoon, and most would have lunched by now. Hickory was sniffing the air and wagging her tail. We both could smell the fries. What should I get to go with them, I wondered. I could have fish, a burger, chicken nuggets, and that got me thinking. There are chicken nuggets on the menu. What part of a chicken do the nuggets come from? Kathy, you know very well that the nuggets are deep-fried ground-up chicken. It isn't a part like the wings or the leg. No, that isn't right, Joyce. The nuggets come from the rooster. After he loses his head, he doesn't need them anymore. Andrea grinned while Shirley and I broke into laughter. That settles it then. I'll order chicken nuggets, so the great bird's sacrifice of his manhood won't be wasted. That was a quick decision, Kat. Will that be with sweet and sour sauce or barbecue? Gosh, Shirley, so many decisions. Just to have lunch. Barbecue will do. I was pleased I snuck in the rhyme and didn't get caught. I knew that Hickory was waiting for the fries and was gradually situating herself under the table where she could capture anything that fell her way. Her first law has to be underlined here. If it falls on the floor, it belongs to Hick. She was ready. Early the next morning, I became aware of a persistent push on my elbow. Leaping lizards, it can't be morning yet. I just went to bed. Come on, Hickory, give me 10 minutes. I'm still sleeping. Hickory wasn't even willing to concede half the minutes to me and gave my butt a mighty shove. Let's go, cat. I have to pee. I knew when I was on the losing end and pulled myself out of bed. 10 minutes later, I was showered and dressed. Hickory was in harness, and we were going out to find our patch of grass that I had located yesterday. At 6 in the morning, the hotel was quiet, and we were able to locate the elevator. The hotel lobby and a couple of blocks down the street, a vacant lot with plenty of grass. It had missed the attention of a lawnmower for some time. My girl was used to manicured lawns at home, so this was a step down. But when you gotta, you just carry on, which Hickory did. When we returned to our room, everyone was up and drinking coffee. Our room had its own coffee maker. Where were you? Shirley had her cup in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Hickory and I were taking care of business. I could hear the shower running and deduced that Joyce was having her shower. I wondered if she needed Hickory to scrub her back. I rather doubted it. The morning progressed with breakfast in the hotel's coffee shop and then meeting for a chorus warm-up and practice. Hickory and I were given the opportunity to check out the stage. I wanted her to experience the bright stage lights and to learn the way on and off the stage. Last night we went to the quartet competition, and Hickory heard the sound of enthusiastic applause on a large scale. She took it all in her usual stride, and my confidence increased. Back in our room, we all changed into our costumes, and I put the scarf around Hickory's neck. It was of the same black sequin material as our costumes. Had Hickory been wearing a shirt, she most certainly would have popped her buttons. She was so pleased with her new look and strutted her stuff around our room. My, she was proud. So was I. Carmen, the chorus member who does makeup, rushed into our room and started the job of applying stage makeup. Under the bright lights, normal makeup would wash out everyone's complexion, so Carmen applied it with a trowel. We then drove to the theater where the competition was being held and awaited our turn to go on stage. Rubbing Hickory's ears, I was eager to stand on stage and sing our songs. Why Should I Cry Over You was a sad ballad, but our final piece was a bright, happy song about keep your sunny side up. I loved the idea of leaving our audience with a positive theme. Then we were called to perform, and we were all making our way backstage. Hickory took me along strange hallways, downstairs and up others. I had no idea how to retrace my steps, but Hickory moved along, following the rest of the chorus. She had no idea what was happening, but was eager to find out. We could hear the sound of applause, which meant that the chorus ahead of us was just finishing their presentation. And now it was our turn to wow the audience. We arrived on stage, and it is always so surprising to me that everything is so dark behind the curtains. Once the curtains are pulled and the spotlight highlights the stage, darkness completely disappears and the lights are blinding. Unreality steps into my mind and the magic of the stage takes hold. We were introduced by the MC and the pitch was blown. After the quick tune-up, I fell into the meaning and notes of the song. I could feel tears in my eyes as I sang about this jerk who had left me alone to pine. Everything seemed to be fitting as it should, and the audience response was all we could have wished for. It was a relief to present Keep Your Sunny Side Up with its joyous optimism. The choreography was more complicated and reflected the upbeat philosophy of the music. We were about 2 lines of music from the end of our performance when it happened. A warm, all-encompassing feeling of love collided with me. I knew that Hickory's presence beside the riser was its source. It was though I stood on a tall pinnacle and Hickory's glow surrounded me. I cannot adequately explain this warm, all-embracing aura of her love. Part of me continued to sing and do the choreography, but my spirit reveled in Hickory nirvana. I don't remember Hickory leading me off the stage, nor heard the cheers and clapping of the audience as we left. I became conscious of hugging my dear friend and telling her I couldn't do it without her. She was licking away the tears and that happy tail was beating its own tattoo. All at once I realized that this was the bond I had been waiting for. A year to the day after I graduated with Hickory from the Lions Foundation, the bond was there in all of its wonder. There was the trust and the love that would keep us together for the rest of our working partnership and beyond. Later, the entire chorus was congregated in a classroom, awaiting the judges' comments and constructive criticisms. Everyone was excited to learn what they had to say. Hickory sat beside me, and the wonder of feeling the bond within me dwarfed the pleasure of a really good time on stage and the remarks of the judges. Their comments were all positive, and their congratulations pleased us all. But as they were leaving the room, one of them turned and said, "I was so engrossed in your performance that I didn't even notice a service dog until you were all leaving the stage. That dog is remarkable. I'll see you all in November." We returned to St. Catherine's the following day. Ralph met me at Andrea's car and picked up my luggage. Hickory greeted him happily, and I gave him a warm hug. It was good to be home. Andrea promised to pick me up for practice the next evening, and I waved goodbye. So, what happened in Rochester? Did the performance go well? Ralph rubbed Hickory's ears and then, on further reflection, inquired, "How did Hickory do?" "Ralph, it was amazing. I actually experienced the bond for the first time. Right there on stage, I felt her presence all around me. It's there. I felt her love." "What are you talking about? Of course it's there. Anyone can see it. I mean, did Hickory work well?" "Yes, she worked perfectly. I never knew being in a stage location could be that easy. I had no difficulty at all." "That's good. So, where did the chorus place in the competition?" "We placed first. Everyone is overjoyed. We're celebrating tomorrow night at practice. Big time." Celebrate we did. There is something special when it comes to celebrating barbershop style. We just sing until we get hoarse. We sang music that we hadn't sung for years. And between the singing, we ate cake and emptied a huge carafe of coffee. We had so much fun. Then the president of our chorus called for our attention. Pat walked over to Hickory and gave her a hug, a treat, and a certificate that said she was the best behaved member of the chorus. Everyone cheered for my fantastic partner. I was so fortunate to belong to this chorus of women who had accepted my girl with their warm-hearted affection. Hickory nudged my knee. Hey, Cat, are we going to the Duck tonight for fries and chicken wings? Pizza is good too. Yes, Hick, and for once you get them all.